Imagine standing in a dark room filled with a dense fog. Shapes shimmer, voices echo without source, memories flicker like candle flames in the distance. You reach forward, trying to grasp something real, but everything shifts. What if I told you that this room, this fog, these whispers, this is your mind, the unconscious realm that controls so much of who you are, yet remains largely hidden? How do we interpret that fog? What meaning do we give to those whispers? And who decides what's real, remembered, or repressed? Today, we venture into the misty corridors of the unconscious, guided by two of the most influential thinkers in psychology, Sigmund Freud and Carl Gustav Jung. Though once colleagues, their paths diverged sharply when it came to interpreting the unconscious. Freud saw it as a repository of repressed desires and conflicts, largely sexual and aggressive. Jung, instead, envisioned a more expansive realm. Archetypes, collective symbols, spiritual yearnings, personal individuation. These divergences shaped not just academic debates, but also how we understand dreams, therapy, creativity, and ultimately ourselves. Welcome to the unfolding journey. Here, we explore ideas that stretch the mind, challenge assumptions, and illuminate inner worlds. Each episode is a passage into psychology, philosophy, personal growth. If you're ready to delve deeper, to question what seems obvious, and to discover what lies beneath, then you've found your place. Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939, the father of psychoanalysis, introduced the idea that much of our psychological life lies below the threshold of conscious awareness. In Freud's model, the unconscious is a dynamic force, a repository of repressed thoughts, drives, and memories, especially those relating to sexuality and aggression, that are incompatible with our conscious self. These repressed contents become the source of internal tension, neurosis, dreams, slips of the tongue, and symbolic behavior. Freud proposed structures of the mind, ID, ego, and superego, each playing a part in how the unconscious exerts influence. Freud's methods emphasized dream interpretation, free association, and analysis of slips and lapses. He believed that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious, manifestations of suppressed desires dressed in symbolic disguise. The goal of therapeutic work is to bring these repressed contents into consciousness so the ego can integrate them, reducing conflict and enabling healthier mental life. Carl Gustav Jung, 1875 to 1961, a Swiss psychiatrist and one-time disciple of Freud, agreed with Freud that the unconscious deeply shapes human behavior. But he saw something vastly richer and larger. Jung split the unconscious into two layers: the personal unconscious, comparable to Freud's, individual memories, complexes, repressed material, and the collective unconscious, a shared heritage of human psychic structures, archetypes, that transcend individual experience. For Jung, archetypes are primordial images: the self, the shadow, the anima and animus, the wise old man, the hero, the trickster, and so on. These archetypes surface in myths, fairy tales, dreams, visions, across cultures and epochs. They offer symbolic meaning, potential paths for personal growth, individuation, but also hazards when unacknowledged, the shadow, for instance. While Freud's unconscious is reactive, formed mostly by what is forbidden, what must be repressed, Jung's collective unconscious is creative, dynamic, anticipatory. It provides not only the memory of human experience, but also the symbols through which we seek wholeness. Key points of divergence: nature of repression and desire. For Freud, repression is fundamental. Forbidden sexual and aggressive impulses are pushed out of awareness, leading to conflict. For Jung, while personal repressions matter, the more universal forces of the psyche, archetypes, are not necessarily forbidden, but inherently meaningful symbols. Universality versus individuality. Freud's framework is oriented toward individual history, childhood, family, trauma, personal development. Jung introduces the universal, myths, culture, dreams from many peoples. The collective unconscious is shared by all humans. Goal of therapy. Freud's therapeutic aim is insight and alleviation of neurosis, making the repressed conscious, reducing internal conflicts. Jung's aim is individuation, fostering the growth of the self, integrating not just repressed contents but archetypal forces to reach wholeness. Understanding of dreams. Freud sees dreams as disguised fulfillments of repressed wishes, symbolic of sexual/aggressive impulses, often censored. Jung sees dreams as communication from the unconscious, symbols appearing to help balance the psyche, offering guidance, pointing toward integration. Spirituality and symbolism. Freud is largely skeptical of spiritual or mystical realms, religion as illusion, myth as projection. Jung is deeply interested in spiritual experience, myth, alchemy, symbolism, seeing them as expressions of inner psychic reality, necessary for human growth. Although Freud and Jung diverge in many respects, there are important overlaps. Both accept that much of psychic life lies below awareness, shaping our thoughts, behaviors, and experiences. Both see childhood as deeply formative, though Freud emphasizes early sexual and libidinal stages more than Jung. Both agree that symbols, dream images, fantasies, myths, are not random but meaningful, though their meaning and origins differ. Both view psychological illness or neurosis as rooted in conflict, repression, or disconnection with unconscious material. These divergent interpretations have had far-reaching influence. Therapeutic approaches: Freudian psychoanalysis, Jungian analytic therapy, depth psychology, talk therapy. Dream research: some therapists adopt Jung's symbolism. Others use Freud's method of free association. Cultural studies: Jung's ideas about collective unconscious and archetypes influence mythology, literature, film studies, comparative religion. Self-help and spiritual movements: Jung is often drawn upon in spiritual circles. Freud's influence persists in understanding trauma, attachment psychiatry. Freud has been criticized for overemphasizing sexual drives, interpreting many phenomena through a narrow lens. Jung's concept of collective unconscious faces questions. Is there empirical evidence? How to define archetypes concretely? Are they simply projected cultural norms? Both have been challenged on scientific grounds. Difficulties in falsification, testability, operational definitions. Ethical issues in psychoanalysis. Therapist power, cultural bias, interpretations that may pathologize. Perhaps the richness lies not in choosing one view, but in seeing how both contribute. Freud gives us tools to excavate personal history, understand hidden anxieties, explore childhood wounds. Jung invites us to connect with broader human experience, mythic patterns, inner symbolisms, and spiritual quests. In your own life, you may find moments when Freud's lens helps you understand why you act in certain ways: defenses, repression, past trauma. And other moments when Jung's symbolism opens pathways: creative inspiration, dreams that call you to wholeness, encountering archetypal energies you didn't know inhabited you. It may even be that a balanced approach, one that acknowledges personal unconscious and collective archetypes, repression and spiritual longing, is the most fruitful. The unconscious is not a single monolith, but a landscape with many regions. As we emerge from that dark room, the fog begins to lift. Some shapes become clearer, some voices form into words, memories no longer flicker but take form. Freud gave us the map to the hidden conflicts and repressed impulses inside us. Jung offered the stars and myth that guide toward integration and meaning. Understanding both enriches not just psychology, but our own self-understanding. If today's exploration inspired you, if Freud's challenge or Jung's symbolism stirred something deep, then you've taken the first steps on your own journey into the unconscious. Thank you for joining me on the unfolding journey. If you'd like to continue traveling these inner landscapes, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell to get notified, and share this with someone who wonders what lies beneath the surface.